Okay, so I'm
You're
here
right.
with my client Zoe. We're going to talk about sort of the journey that you've been on in 2023, where you started, some of the big wins that you had, some of the learning curves that you had, and ultimately where you are now and where you want to go in 2024. So, without stressing you out too much, to my audience who might not know who are you? What do you do?
So my name's Zoe and I run ZG Creative, which is a virtual assistant and digital content creation company. And we help businesses to expand their audience, save time, become more organized, and be able to make more money.
That is a really good description. So tell me a little bit more about how you got started doing that.
So originally I actually worked as a dancer for an entertainment company, and then within that company progressed on to doing event and tour management, and then becoming a personal assistant to the boss, and also working on like the marketing of the company, and then just kind of really enjoyed it. And then set up a clothing company and just realized like it was possible to do. And then from that, just kept progressing until I finally moved to Austria and realized I didn't want to work for anyone else but myself. And then, yeah, like just over a year ago, set up full time, working for myself and my own business.
I love all that. So you've been living like the sort of nomadic lifestyle.
Yeah and no, because before moving to Austria, I travelled more and like got to work while I was away, even though I was employed in England. But then since moving to Austria, I pretty much settled down. I've been here 5 years, and only last year in 2023, I started traveling again.
That's good. That is
Mm.
that is good. But I think people get sold on this, like, oh, you're going to start an online business and then you're going to be able to like literally live anywhere you want and do anything you want and go on, have a laptop in Dubai on a beach in Dubai
Yeah.
and then make all the money in the world and it's going to be dead easy. But it's actually hard, like very
Yeah,
hard.
it's not like that at all.
No, no.
I mean, I do get to take my laptop to the beach, but
No,
I also
yeah,
really like my own house.
yeah, absolutely. There's elements of freedom that you wouldn't get in a traditional 9 to 5, definitely.
Yeah.
Um, but in terms of the business, I think you've got to be literally everything in the business when you first start. So you're doing the
Yeah.
admin, you're doing the creative, you're doing the content, you're doing servicing the clients for what they need, um, delivering results to a high standard. You're getting WhatsApp all hours of the night.
Yep.
You're getting emails. Uh,
On different time zones as well.
yeah,
It's
100%.
it
And
can be absolutely chaos.
it is chaos. There's no,
Mm.
uh, you know, I mean, and I think for me, when I got into it, I wasn't organized. So I'm quite organizationally messy, I would say.
Mm.
So one thing I really, really had to work on was like productivity and like
Yeah.
prioritization and task management because I was literally just doing anything and everything every day.
Yeah. Like business wise, I am quite organized. Personal life, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
Like I never know like what I'm doing from one day to the next personally, but like my clients are always like on track.
Yeah. If we rewind sort of a year or so, go back to the start of last
Okay.
year.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out what month we're in.
Yeah. Yeah. It was New Year's Eve the other day,
I know, but like it feels like years ago.
Where would you say you were in your business? And what were the goals that you had going into sort of 23? And I suppose the question leading on from that is, what are the biggest sort of sticking points that you had at that point in time? Because I always find New Year, I don't really set goals in New Year too much, but it's
Mm.
definitely a time for reflection, I think. So you reflect on like the goals that you had last year and how far I actually came with them. Because in the moment, I think sometimes you don't really recognize it in the moment, but it's only afterwards when you reflect
Yeah.
that you go, oh shit,
Yeah,
I've actually achieved
definitely.
some big stuff that like last year.
Mm.
So what was it?
So this time last year, the business was actually doing really, really well. Um, like it was bringing so much money in, and then on top of that, I was like doing a part-time job just because I was still at that phase where I was like not sure if I could financially stand alone. but I also fully hit burnout because I was working like 80 to 90-hour weeks across like 2 jobs. And then I'd be at my other job and I'd have clients text me, and obviously they were my priority. But then the other job, it was like, well, you can't be on your phone. So it was a lot. So like last January, even though like the money was rolling in, it just wasn't like I just couldn't keep running like that at all. And then and then moving into, because we have seasons here, so then moving from winter into summer, I was like, do you know what? I'm going to take a step back in both sides, in the business and in the part-time job, because I could afford to. And then like I let some clients go, some clients like moved on from their businesses, so I lost them. And then I kind of was like, oh crap, I've got like no one. And then yeah, that's when like I took myself away and was like, I need to really refocus on the business. So yeah, I went from like burnout to like literally nothing, and now it's like pretty stable and running quite well by itself. I don't want to jinx it,
Yeah,
but
I remember
yeah,
when we first started working together. I remember I vividly remember you saying to me that you really wanted to stop working in the restaurants. That was one of the
yeah,
main things. Um,
yeah.
so what was that process like of actually transitioning from a dependable sort of smaller income to be essentially being full-time self-employed?
Like it just like happened because I told the job I didn't want to stay on for the winter season, and then the summer season went quiet. So they were like, if you want to leave earlier, you can. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to gain 15 hours a week that I can put back into the business and work on. And then, but like, I did not have the clients like to financially support myself. But luckily, I had savings, and I was like, I just have to like trust that I can make this work, because if I don't do it now, I'm just going to keep clinging on to that other job and never like let go. And like my mum would text me and be like, oh, have you got enough like money for your bills? And I'm like, yeah. Like completely living off savings. So at first it was like scary, but also like exciting, because then you're like, there's so much you can like achieve because you've got all that like capacity to do it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I was just super excited to just be full-time self-employed again, to be honest.
Yeah,
I didn't really think about the money until like a month later, and I was like, oops.
yeah, 100%. 100%. What would you say like the biggest things standing in your way, whether that be sort of tangible day-to-day things, or whether it be, I want to say like limiting beliefs, because not everyone has limiting beliefs. Some people just do stuff. But for me, I remember for me, it was like I was always thinking there's bigger accounts on social media that are doing this stuff. So why is someone going to listen to me when I'm just starting out? And it was that sort of like
Yeah.
voice in my head that I was like, can I actually do it? And it was through like a lot of trial and error actually and I had some big wins, but I also had some, some things fall flat on its arse.
Yeah.
What were the things that were like mainly standing in your way at that point of getting to where
Um,
you are now?
hmm. Like probably the worry over money has always been like, could I go like full-time self-employed? And then also like the social media thing, like at first I wouldn't post until I started working with Joe. I was just like, nope, can't post, don't know what I'm talking about, even though I did. But like, yeah, and it was just that like worry of like, oh, what are people gonna think? They're gonna be like, oh, what does she know? And in my head, like I didn't feel like I had like the experience to be like, oh, this is what you should do with your business. Whereas when I spoke to people who were like, Zoe, you've been doing it for so many years, of course, like you know what you're doing. And like I've proved it with the clients I've got. But it always is that like worry of if people are gonna be like, oh, what's she doing? Like she doesn't know a thing. But yeah, that was like a huge thing at first. And then also that was always a barrier for me is I get the worst FOMO. So I hate missing out on things. And I know sometimes like when you go from like set hours in a job to then being self-employed and you can be flexible, it's then having that like oh, what's it called? What's the word called when you've got to be like strict?
Discipline.
Discipline. It's having that discipline to then be like, I have to work these hours. And if then someone's like, oh, do you want to do this? It's being like, no, I have to work. And in some I was terrible. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, just free work to the side and would just stay up super late working. So I got to do like other stuff. But now I'm like, no, I'm gonna like if I've set time aside to work, like I'm sticking to that. Like no
Yeah,
one's
yeah, yeah.
swaying me to do anything else.
It's so true. Like I still have it now. Like I always think to myself, if I can get 8 hours a day of working,
Mm,
that's what I need to do every day. I need to do 8 hours.
yeah,
Doesn't matter how I get it in, as long as I get it in. It could be
yeah.
2 hour blocks. It could be, get up at 4 a.m. and work till midday. It could
Yeah,
be,
well, I'll work like 6 till 12 solid because I know like we don't really do things until the afternoon anyway. Like it's always super cold and dark in the morning, so and that's when I work best. So then I've got like a solid 6 hours in the bag, and then the rest of the day I can
love
just
that.
do whatever.
Yeah, that's
But
amazing.
yeah,
That's
but it
amazing.
is the discipline is so, especially when you work for yourself from home. You've
Mm.
got like no one in the office being like, stop, get off your phone or stop like procrastinating and get work done. That is like definitely a barrier.
Yeah, I think that's where, for me anyway, I think that's like the real value of a really good mentor or a really good coach that can hold you accountable
Mm,
to doing them tasks.
yeah,
Because sometimes it is easy to just go, no one's telling me to do this, and if I don't do it, nothing really is going to happen.
yeah,
Other than my progress is going to stifle, and my um, bank account's not going to be as high at the end of the month.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's definitely tough. Now you said about social media, so through that process, you did start posting more. How did that sort of impact sort of, I suppose, lead generation, income, or overall presence? Because I always said to you and thought to myself that you had a really good network of people around you, so everything
Mm,
was there. It was just getting it.
yeah,
It's just getting what you do in front of people.
yeah.
And I
I
suppose that
guess like the
sorry, I suppose the preface to that as well is what do you actually love to do? Like what's the one thing that if you could do from day to night, what would it be?
well, it is the content, like being creative.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I just always didn't do it for myself, but yeah, definitely like posting. It gives you like that little like boost in confidence when people like reply or like things, and you're like, oh, like they actually like what I'm doing. So then you like get that confidence as, oh, I'm actually good at what I do. And then like for like getting new leads and stuff, it just gave me like a space to send people. So it's like I might speak to them on LinkedIn or something, but then they'll be like, oh, well, what do you do if you got any stuff you can show me? And like obviously I've got like client content banks and stuff, but I could just send them to my social media, and they'd be like, oh, look at what you do, and then they get to know you more as well, and then you see if like they then align with you, not just like, oh, they putting money in your bank, because I just don't like people to work with people who don't align with like how I am, because I'm a bit like, yeah, like all over the place and like out there, and then if they're like quite reserved or like too serious, I just can't get on with them.
Yeah.
So it gives them like a chance to see who, like how I work as well and what I do, and then to see how like if we're a fit for each other.
I love that. That's actually why in social media pro and video content pro, my two like mentorship programs, before we do any of the ideal client work and the persona work and the demographics, all that, which is super important. And most marketing gurus will be like, right, who's your ideal clients, who you working with, who do you really want to work with, which is super important. Like niche is
Mm.
super important. But I would think there's a step before that people like often miss out, and that's who's the ideal me. Like,
Yeah,
like what are my values? What's my mission? How
yeah,
can I align people with that rather than me aligning with someone else's mission that might not be congruent with my own?
yeah,
So actually digging a bit deeper into what your values are and what your mission is and what your purpose is. It all sounds a bit woo-woo and a bit out there and a bit hippie-ish when you first say it. Actually, it's the actual fundamental principles that drive our behavior towards aligning people with us.
yeah,
Because if you
yeah.
don't
Because
do
I
that,
used to think you had to be like dead serious. Like you're a business owner, like you want to work with other businesses that like want to succeed. So you've got to be dead serious.
yeah,
And it's like now, like all my clients are so like not like obviously they're serious, don't mean they're not serious, but what I mean is like they are themselves too.
yeah,
And like when you get to know their like fun personality, it works better. Do you know what I
100%,
mean? Like if someone's just gonna sit there and like talk at me and like I just can't do it. Like I need energy.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
One of my sort of company values, like I went back and looked at these the other week because I wanted to refresh them and I wanted to make sure they were all, as I said, in line and congruent. and they still hold true. Nothing changed, and it was one of them is
Yeah.
build meaningful relationships, and having that, it's like what I always think is, how would you speak to your best friend?
Yeah.
You'd be able to be relaxed. You could just be yourself. You could chill. You don't have to look your best. You just speak to them normally. How you speak to your mom, or how you speak to your sister or your brother, whatever.
Yeah.
Can you have that relationship with your clients? Most of the time, you'd actually say no, but actually, you shouldn't. You shouldn't be changing your vocal tonality or the way you speak or treading on eggshells around the client, because
Yeah.
if it truly is aligned, then
Yeah, it works.
it
Yeah, like
works.
I can't dilute how I am. And
Exactly.
like I'll try and be so serious and like, okay, head on my shoulders, like let's be serious. And then like something will happen or something will catch my eye or my mind will go somewhere else and then I'll say something. And like in a meeting and you're like, you just think, oh God. But then like if you're working with the right clients that align with you, then it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like in a meeting the other week, I was like, "Oh, side note, by the way," and they were like, "What?" And I was like, "Well, it means when I'm changing the topic," and they're like, "Oh, okay, well that makes sense." And then they were fine about it. But like, if you're in like a dead serious like board meeting with like whatever type of client, and you say that, they're gonna be like, you can't say things like that."
Yeah.
But it just
Exactly.
slips out my mouth, and I can't like dilute it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Do you know what? As well, like it's important to like just preface that as well. It's like in some cases, don't just be like a social bellend who just has no filter. Like sometimes
Yeah,
you have to be like, just be aware of who's around you and stuff.
yeah,
Um, but again, don't filter it too much. Like, sometimes you'll be in a bit more of a professional meeting where you can't swear a little bit the more than what you would,
yeah,
and that's fine. But at the same time, like I would say, just if you're working with people you really want to work with, it should just be a fun relationship. It should be a
yeah.
fun,
It should just
convers
flow.
fun back and
Yeah.
forth. It shouldn't be awkward or, you
Yeah, and I
resenting.
think as long as you like know where the line is between taking it too far and being like client to client and stuff like that, then it's all right.
100%, 100%. And like,
Yeah.
and like, you don't want to be resenting getting on a phone call with them, or you don't want to
Yeah,
be dreading a
exactly.
WhatsApp off them or something like that. It should
And
be
then coming off like the Zoom, like being drained.
exactly,
Like,
exactly,
yeah, you want to come off like hyped and ready to work and not be like, have your soul drained?
yeah, exactly. A bit like I am now.
Okay, then, bye.
Um, no, in all seriousness, so that said, that's awesome. Like the that journey of like you can literally see it step by step. Do you know what I mean? Like you were working in a restaurant and trying to build a business. You recalibrated. You started creating more. You started utilizing
Mm,
social media and your network more.
yeah.
Where did that lead in the end in terms of becoming fully booked, sort of smashing your income goals, all that stuff?
Like I guess like it was all like confidence building. Like the more I'd done and like the more like wins I was getting. I don't mean like getting new clients, but like the little wins when like you jump on like a one-to-one with someone just to like catch up and see what each other does. And then they like kind of like you say what you're doing, wait, like what you've done, and then they like remind you of like what you've actually done to get to where you are. And then I don't know, that was like, okay, well, I've done all this, so why am I not doing this? And da da da. And like more doors just kept opening. And then, yeah, and surrounding yourself with like really good people,
100%.
like in business and personally, who like motivate you and want you to do well. And then that just kind of me led to being like, okay, let's go. And then I was just like, yeah. And then I knew at the end of summer I'd had like my fun time, and I was like, I said to myself over summer I won't work as much. But I knew like the gap between summer and winter, I had to then like knuckle down and be like, right, so get your life together. And that's when I started traveling again. And then someone reminded me that like I've always wanted to travel, and that's why I set up this business. So I had the freedom to do that. And they were like, a year ago, would you have thought you was where you are today? And I was like, not a chance. And they were like, well, look, you're doing it. And it's just them little reminders along the way, because you do forget, like, you set these goals, and when you achieve one, you set your next. You never like stop and go, oh, well done, that's a win. You're like, okay, well, what's the next thing? So it is like connecting with people and them saying like, oh, look at how, like how good this is going to, and then yeah. it
Amazing,
just keeps going and going.
amazing, amazing. So where you at now in terms of like clients and I know you said before this call that you're pretty much fully booked and
Yeah, I'm like
trying to
fully,
get some hours back.
fully booked. Like, would never have thought it. But yeah, so like fully booked, and I want to focus on the clients I've got at the minute instead of like looking for more, like still connecting with people, but not looking for more work. And then I guess I'm working on some stuff behind the scenes, so hopefully that's gonna reveal itself in the next few months, like when I find the time.
Exciting.
So
It's exciting, exciting. So
yeah.
is that like your main goal now for 2024? Just start working on all the stuff that you are working on behind the scenes and get it out there and
Yeah, and just like start to generate like passive income as well as like income from clients, and
boom.
yeah,
I love it.
so it's
I love it.
exciting.
I love it. So for anyone, just to wrap this up, for anyone who's in the position that you were this time last year and maybe in the process of starting a business or they've got a business or a decent side hustle, but they're a bit scared to take the plunge,
Mm.
what, I suppose, what is the number one sort of piece of advice or learning that you would give them to say, do you know what, actually, it is hard and it's it can be grueling at times, but look, it's possible.
Yeah, oh God, there's like so much to say, but like probably for me, like the past year, it's been the network. So I'd say like evaluate your network and then look at who you can like ask for help, who are gonna like be happy to help you, and like because there'll be a way you can always like return the favor to them, but don't just think like because you're like doing your business by yourself that you are like alone in it. Like go to other people, and like 9 times out of 10 people want to help you, and if they don't, then they shouldn't be in your network.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I'm just
That's
so like
amazing.
cutthroat, like by Felicia's.
Yeah, but
And also who you hang about with personally, because I think that's just as important. If you haven't got like a team around you supporting you while you're trying to like build your dreams, then like what are you doing?
I think network is like one of the most. It became. It wasn't, but it is. It has become one of the most important things in my business because
Yeah.
even though um a lot of my income doesn't actually come from my network, it's a lot of it's
Mm.
kind of self-generated through content and stuff. Actually having that network, sometimes even your closest friends and family don't really understand what you're trying to do.
No, like
Even-
they don't get it. You have to have those links that like
Yeah,
have been where you are.
people just like you who are in the same boat who
Mm.
understand that struggle. Whereas,
Yeah.
like for example, my mum and dad have always worked sort of a 9 to 5, or my dad understands it a bit more because he was a painter and decorator, but
Yeah.
he never really done social media or anything like that. He just does it all word of mouth.
Yeah.
Um, so they don't really grasp the online world. But what I always say is
Yeah.
that if you don't grasp that stuff now, like we're in our 30s, like I'm 37, you're a bit younger than me.
I'm 30, just so everyone knows. Do not put me by 37.
You're in your 30s, right? But what you
Only
don't want to
just, okay.
like mum and dad wouldn't know how to send an email from the phone. You know what I mean?
No, like I get like family messaging me being like, can you they don't know what it
Yeah,
like actually do as like a
yeah,
business, but they know a way like in like the tech online world, and they're like, oh, can you help me with this?
yeah,
But
exactly.
like if you were to ask them, or what does Zoe do as a job, they wouldn't have a clue.
Exactly. But and I suppose if we don't learn this stuff now and we don't keep up with these trends and we don't take all this on board in our business, especially with likes of artificial intelligence, all that stuff,
Yeah.
we're going to be that 60, 70, 80-year old who sits on the phone asking our kids to do stuff for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
and you know, content marketing has never been bigger. You know, content's
Mm.
massive, massive, massive. So
Yeah.
really, really important. But thanks so much for that. I think that's really going to sort of give a lot of perspective and insight into the sort of journey, actually,
Mm.
of a creative, essentially.
Yeah.
So I really love our time working together, and
Yeah, it's good.
yeah, it's been good. And yeah, hopefully you'll go from strength to strength this year and you'll smash all your goals because I've got a bit of an insight into what's going on,
Yeah.
and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it is exciting.
I want to see them digital products come out this year.
Yeah, it will.
Good. Right, nice one, Zoe. I'll speak to you soon.
All right then, speak to you soon.